For number 21, it says, find the measurement of every missing side and angle in triangle ABC if it has these criteria. So we're just going to draw a generic triangle. Mine's probably going to look equilateral, and we're going to go from there. Now, in the process of doing this, in the process of actually finding the measurement of everything that's missing, every angle, every side, we need to keep in mind that sometimes we use the law of sines and sometimes we use the law of cosines. And that's 44 degrees. Let's see. Little b is across from big B. That must be 6. We'll make that equal to lowercase b. Little c across from big C. Little c is 4. And we need to find everything. We're missing a bunch of stuff. We're missing little a. We're also missing big B. We're also missing big C. These are going to, of course, both be angles. Based on a lot of stuff we did when we used the law of sines, normally we would start by finding the third angle, but we don't have enough information to find a third angle because we only have one of them. Let me tell you what we do have, though. We have two sides and the angle in between them. Knowing that we have two sides and the angle in between them, and that's all we have, let me tell you what we don't have. We don't have a side, a side and an angle across from it, which means we cannot use the law of sines. Not now, not yet. Okay, let's use the law of cosines. Let's start by finding A. Now, your question might be, how do you know to start by finding A? Let's consider for just a second. Law of sines is out. Law of sines is not an option because we don't have angle and side for any particular pair. If we were to find B first, then we would need to know, looking at the formulas at the top of the notes on this section, if we were going to find B first, we would need to know little c, little b, and little a. If we're going to find C, we need all three of these as well. But if we find this, we have enough information. In other words, start by finding a side. Since we're looking for A, we're going to be using this formula. A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine big A. I'm going to pause here and take a moment just to kind of point you in the direction of the structure of the formula, because hopefully you can memorize this. And I know it looks like a jumbled mess of letters, but it's really not hard to remember. If you have a lowercase a here, you have an uppercase A here. This part's going to look like the Pythagorean theorem, sort of. You know, equal marks might be moved around a little bit. So if this is your A, then here's your B and C. If this was B, that would be the other two letters. That'd be A and C. The B and C are here. The B and C are also here. It's always the same. For example, don't write this next part down. I'm just going to make this up. Let's suppose you have a triangle, and it's, I'm just rambling here, but it's kind of important. If I have a triangle and it's E, F, G, that should be an uppercase G. Oops, I can make it a lowercase g. And let's suppose I'm looking for little e. I don't need to look at my formulas. I got this. Little e squared equals the other two lowercase letters minus 2 times those lowercase letters again times the cosine of the big letter, big E. Same idea. Perfectly same thing. So let's erase this. Just wanted to prove a point about the structure of the formula. Let's start filling some stuff in. This actually is going to be one of the easier ones because everything is going to be working to our favor because almost everything we need is on one side. So little b is 6, little c is 4, 2 times 6 times 4 times the cosine of 44. Okay. Now, based on the problems that you have just done, in which I told you to be very cautious about how you group things, I want us to keep in mind what we're looking for now. Now, again, let me remind you about the video you probably just watched. We would group those and we would group those, and it was great, it was fantastic, but now, throw it all together. And you're probably thinking, well, why can I throw it all together here and I couldn't earlier? Well, let me tell you why. I'm looking for lowercase a. Here it is. Everything here is a number. Obviously, cosine is an operation on a number, but I have everything I need here. I'm not solving for anything that's on this side. Every bit of this can be represented numerically. I can type that in my calculator and get an answer, and there's not a variable to stop me. This entire side right here goes in the calculator. When I'm looking for the length of a side, I can type that whole thing in. If I'm looking for the measurement of an angle, it has to happen in pieces. All right, so we'll type it in. Squared plus 4 squared minus 2 times 6 times 4 times cosine of 44. Again, make sure you're in degrees, and I am. There we go. A squared equals 17.47. Are we done? Obviously not, because I asked if we're done or not. Normally I don't ask if we're done if we are done. So we're not done. There's 2 reasons we're not done. First of all, that's a squared, and what I really need is a, so the obvious thing to do is square root. The other thing is, if this is 4 and this is 6, that adds up to be 10. So if I was to stretch it as tight as possible, there's no way it could stretch that far. It's called a triangle inequality, in case you ever wondered what that was called. We'll round that to 2 decimal places, 4.18. Okay, we know A now, 4.18, and that's great, that's fantastic. But what we don't know is B, and we don't know C. Dang. Okay, we could use the law of sines here. I'm going to warn you about something that happens with the law of sines. That's the previous lesson. Sometimes when you're using the law of sines, you run into what's called the ambiguous case, and you could get 2 possible answers for the same thing. And it's possible that that would happen here. It's very likely. You could get like an answer of 20 degrees, you could also get an answer of 160 degrees. And it runs into some ambiguity that's kind of hard to avoid sometimes. Whenever I can, I use the law of cosines. It may seem more complicated, but it gives a more direct answer. So I'm going to find the measure of B or C. I'm going to go alphabetically. Let's just find B. So knowing that I'm about to find B, I need a different formula. I'm going to have to go through this again, but now I'm going to have to solve it. So, looking for B. Well, you're looking for big B. Why'd you write a little b? Because if I'm looking for B, my formula starts with a B. I don't care if it's lowercase or uppercase, that's what it is. It's a very annoying sounding pen. I don't know if you can hear it on the video. There's like squeak, 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 squeak. Squeak, squeaker, squeak, squeak. It's from the Emperor's New Groove. Okay, let's plug some numbers in. Because we know A now. That's a decimal, but we'll get over it. We know B, little b. We know little a. We'll put it in parentheses because it's a decimal. Just because I feel like it. We know this one. We know little a again. 4.18. We know little c. And what we don't know is big B. We don't know that. Now, here we go. We are looking for this. Because we're looking for this, we will probably be tempted to do some terrible, terrible things. These are not like terms. Let's go one piece at a time. I will find that. That's easy. That's 36. If you reach for your calculator, slap yourself. 6 squared is 36. You know that. I will put these 2 terms together and I will get an answer. I will put this in the calculator, find out what it is, and put the cosine B at the end of that term. That's going to come down. We're going to do this in pieces. Okay. 4.18 squared plus 4 squared. Got a big number. Not too big. 33.47. I am going to round as I go. It's not going to be that big of a deal yet. We'll type this part in. Obviously, you can't do anything with that because I don't know what capital B is. So 2 times 4.18 times 4. 33.44. 33.44. cosine B is floating around at the end. Okay, keep in mind what we're looking for. I'm looking for B, capital B. These are not like terms. Don't put them together. They are not. You better not do it. Don't do it. So, what I am going to do instead is subtract 3347. Subtract 3347 from this side. And those will cancel out. So 36 minus 3347 is 253. 2.53. 2.53 equals negative 33.44 cosine B. Yeah, that's right, 253. All right. We're going to divide. This one's going to be negative, but that's okay. We will now divide. We'll switch colors for dividing. Black pen. Negative 33.44 divided by negative 33.44, and those divide out. And this one's going to be kind of an odd looking decimal, and at this point we're not going to round anymore. Cosine of B is equal to this, whatever that is. So 2.53 divided by negative 33.44. And we have this answer, negative 0.0756578 something. In order to find B, we do the inverse cosine. So, cosine with a little inverse of negative, don't you forget that negative, negative 0.0756578 equals B. The inverse cosine of our last answer, B is equal to. Now, generally, angle measurements are rounded to the nearest degree, so we don't use decimals. At this point, we will round. 94 degrees. We just found the measured angle B, and it is 94 degrees. Now, we have one more to find. You want to go through all this? Me neither. Me neither. There's a shortcut now. See, and I hope you noticed it. I hope you noticed it. We are looking for that. There's an easy way to find it. We now have enough information to use the fact that these three together make 180 degrees. So 180, subtract both of those. So that's 138. 180 minus 138 is... I got this. 42. Yeah, this is going to be 42 degrees. 42 degrees right there. Yeah, that's right. I'm second guessing myself. It's right, it's 42. 180 minus this, 42 degrees. There we go. Okay, so that was number 21. 22 is very similar, but it does not use A, B, and C. It uses L, M, and N. And I'm going to use L, M, and N to kind of reinforce the structure of the formula. I'm going to go through the next one much faster. Much faster. I'm not going to go in as slow a detail. If I could get this board to erase, I would hurry up. It's not coming clean. All right, here we go. It tells me that L is 14, M is 12, N is 10. Notice anything? It gave me 3 lowercase letters. It never gave me the measurement of an angle. This one's going to be a little different. The last one started by finding the length of a side. We know all the sides now. We don't know any of the angles. And we know we're dealing with an L and an M and an N, and I don't care where you put them as long as you label things accordingly and appropriately. If this is big L, this is little l. I'll make it cursive so it doesn't look like the number 1. If this is capital M, this is little m, and it's 12. If this is capital N, this is little n, and it is 10. We are looking for everything that's missing. All 3 angles. We're going to have to use the law of cosines twice. We could use it 3 times, But once we have two of the angles, we'll find the third one. So let's go. Let's hurry. I'm going to go alphabetically just because I feel like it. If I'm looking for a capital L, my formula should start with a little l. And then I'll use the other two. If this totally confuses you, replace these with A, B's, and C's. You can do it. It's fine. I will not be offended. Minus 2 MN. Cosine of capital that letter. Boom. Let's start filling some numbers in. Let's go fast. 14 squared equals, you can't see through me. My dad's not a glassmaker. He's a chicken farmer. Minus 2 times 12 times 10. Cosine L. All right. Let's figure out what a few of the pieces are. I'm going to reinforce this idea one more time. This comes down. This comes down. That comes down. Those are separate pieces. Green pen's dying on me. Come on. Come on, pen. You got this. 196 equals, it's 244 minus 240. 240 cosine L. Wish I could do trig in my head. Okay, don't subtract these. I know a guy that subtracted these and he got kicked right in the face. Allow me to demonstrate. No. Instead, we are going to subtract 244. I got squeaky markers. That drive me crazy. 196 minus 244 is 48. Negative 48. Negative 48 equals negative 240. Cosine of L. We will divide by negative 240. At this point, I have a feeling that I'm going so fast that some of y'all are just trying to scramble and write. Pause it. Finish it. And then start it again. Seriously. If you pause it and then finish it and then start it again, you'll be able to get the practice you need for the practice problems that come next. Because I don't have a video for those and you have to know how to do them anyway. This is guiding you so you can do that. So use this opportunity not to copy, but to practice. We'll divide by negative 240. 48 divided by 240. All right, I'm beyond the mental math now. 48 divided by 240 is, oh good grief, I should have known that. I'm ashamed of myself for not knowing this. Point 2. Cosine L. We're going to find the measurement of angle L. The inverse cosine of point 2 is equal to L. So whatever the inverse cosine of point 2 is, rounded to the nearest degree, 78 degrees. A balmy 78 degrees. Here we go. 78. Okay, there it is. We're going to find another one. It doesn't matter which one you find. I'm going to go alphabetical, so let's find M. M as in Mad Max. I got to find a new marker because these are dying on me. Okay, I'm going to find M. I'm finding M. Then the other two letters are L and N. So, M. Well, that's not much better. L squared, N squared minus 2L, N, cosine, capital M. My goodness, this marker isn't working either. Making me mad. All right, fill it in anyway. 12 squared, no, we won't. I'm switching colors. My goodness. Purple. Don't let me down, purple. Come on, purple. There you go, baby. That was an awkward thing to say, wasn't it? Oh, marker, baby. 14 squared, 10 squared minus 2, 14, 10, cosine, capital M. Let's start filling some things in. 12 squared is 144. 196 plus 100 is 296. Minus 280. Cosine M. Again, keep in mind we're looking for M. I like this marker. I'm going to hurry through some math with this thing. We'll subtract 296 from both sides. And those cancel out. That gives us, I'm going to do this in my head. I'm going to do it. If I have to stand here all day, this is going to be the longest video ever. 152? Negative 152? Don't tell me. I feel like I'm wrong. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this thing in my head. 152, yeah. Negative 152, I'm right. Okay. I feel like we rely on calculators way too much. I'm trying to get out of the habit myself. Hopefully it'll rub off on y'all. We're too dependent on those things sometimes. Okay, we will now divide. I'm going to go red here. Oh, it's a sad little red. My red marker wants to be like my purple marker when he grows up. Okay, negative 152. Wrote on myself a purple. It's not going to come off. Such a good marker. Negative 152 divided by negative 280. Got a crazy decimal, and I'm going to carry that decimal with me. Negative. Whoa, where'd that negative come from? My bad. That's not what my calculator says. 0.5. I knew better than that. 0.54285714229. Cosine of m. There we go. Let's take the inverse cosine. I'm going to skip a step here. Inverse cosine of my last answer is 57. That's great. 57. Well, if that's 57, then it goes here. Here we go. Oh, I got this. These three together ought to make 180, so 57 and 78 add together to be 135. That gives me a 45-degree angle up here. I'm going to double check that in my head real fast. 5 plus 8 plus 7, that's 12, and that's 20. So the rest of these should add up to be 160, so 90. Yep, I'm right. There we go. And that's it. After this, there are practice problems. Please work through those.